Aestheta had probably one of the weirdest releases I've had for a game so far. I released the game on the same day as Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4, so it probably didn't have as many players on launch as it could have had. And for the people that did play it at launch, they either ran into issues that couldn't be fixed for several days because Google Play has to manually review every single build that you release, as well as the game essentially being review bombed on Steam because people didn't like the split screen view. On top of that, I was doxxed and harassed because of my devlog, with people calling me slurs that didn't apply to me, as well as insinuating that I was a kitty diddler because I was trying to market a Gunnar slop game to children. I sort of lost a lot of the passion I had towards Aestheta because of those factors, as well as dealing with post-release burnout, so I took a step back and focused on some other things for a few weeks. After taking a break from the game, I decided to return to it to add some more content, as well as fixing some issues people had with the game, hoping that I can make a better product. I can't make a perfect game, but hopefully I can make one that's good enough. Hello, it's me, your pal Al. This is my second and most likely final devlog for Aestheta. I'm releasing this video alongside the v1.2 update, so everything I will be discussing in this video will be in the game for both PC and Android right now. I wanted to address some of the issues that people had with the game, as well as discussing what's new, so this video will be more like a TV Royale than an actual devlog. I'll also share some thoughts on the future of this game and what I might add in the future if I continue to add on to it. I'll split things into sections just to keep things nice and contained. That being said, let's jump right into it. So, this seems to be the biggest issue that people have with the game, specifically the PC version. On Steam, the game is currently at mostly positive, with a few negative reviews mentioning this to some degree. Honestly, I'm having a hard time understanding why so many people are leaving negative reviews because of this. Yes, I understand that the split screen thing is weird. It was the best compromise that I could come up with. Yes, I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I don't really think it's something that's worthy of a 1-star review. Also, I added a vertical mode option to the game a few weeks ago after someone suggested I added that to the game, so those reviews are kinda outdated. If you don't like the split screen option, you can turn it off in the settings now. Granted, it is a little weird, but it's an option that's available. Theoretically, I could add a proper horizontal mode where I just take the whole arena and rotate it 90 degrees, but that would probably take a ton of work to implement or be awkward to use since everything is designed around the vertical format. Maybe I'm just used to the split screen thing, but I really don't think this is that big of an issue. Getting player feedback is important, and I'm okay with people leaving negative reviews criticizing game design or whatever, but this specific thing feels really punishing? I don't know. It makes me sad that the Steam version is only at mostly positive. I saw one negative review on Steam that was solely because the game didn't have Barb Hut. Dude, just a piece of advice for supporting indie devs, please don't leave negative reviews unless the game is like bad, like it doesn't even launch bad. Don't leave those goofy joke reviews for games that have like, I don't know, under 100 reviews in total. It's kind of a dick move. Negative reviews can really hurt small indie games, and you should really only reserve those for like objectively bad games. I personally always try to leave a positive review, even if I have some qualms with the game. And I kind of want to encourage other people to have that same mindset. I don't know. I'm really trying my best, guys. I don't think this is necessarily an elephant in the room, but I would like to address this. Yes, I make adult content. I know, shocker, right? Yes, I draw Netscape for work, and yes, I have made adult games. No, I am not adding a sex DLC to Aestheta. I don't really think it needs one. I feel like a lot of people who have either watched my first devlog or played Aestheta probably haven't seen my other stuff, so I'm not too surprised there were a lot of comments and reviews being like, why do all of the female characters look like that? One, not all of them look like that. Only like, maybe over half of them do. Two, it's for one simple reason. I don't do it for money or for attention or anything like that. I do it for me. I like it. I'm good at it. Well, I'm like okay at it, you know, you get the idea. I sexualize a lot of my female characters because I just like drawing sexy characters in general. Besides, I also sexualize my male characters as well. I'm bisexual, so I like big boobs regardless of gender. Like I mentioned earlier, some people have criticized me for marketing a mature game to a child audience. Yes, a lot of Clash Royale's player base is children, but I never said I was marketing towards them. Aestheta is not a kid's game. Why would I want to market towards children? That's like the worst part of Clash Royale. The only people I market my games towards are people like me, primarily young adults who like indie games and hate BS microtransactions. Let me put it this way. Imagine Clash Royale as a cup of orange juice. Anyone can enjoy it, but it's mostly consumed by kids. Those Clash Royale knockoffs you see on the App Store are kind of like Sunny D. It's merely a pale imitation and is objectively worse. Aestheta is more like a mimosa. It's like an alcoholic twist that tastes similar but is meant for a completely different audience. I know that sexualized characters isn't everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. That's something that I've been having to deal with since I started making more suggestive art in games, and it's not something that I'm going to revert on because that's something that brings me joy, and I don't want to suppress that. I'm not adding an option that removes boobs or replaces skimpy outfits with more modest clothing, since that would kind of be a little bit disrespectful and kind of gets into like body shaming territory. I will note, I did redesign Mother to remove the boob-shaped thing on her chest. After thinking about it, I thought it looked a little out of place and didn't really make sense, so I'd redesigned her a little bit. Oh, and just an FYI, I noticed recently that Supercell has been DMCAing people who make not safe work of Clash Royale characters, which sucks. Just wanted to say, I definitely will not do that if you draw not safe work of Aestheta characters. Okay, on to the fun stuff. I've added in some new cards that you can trade for, most of which don't have Clash Royale counterparts, so I'll explain how they work. The Hermit Crab is a small ranged unit that can hide from enemy units when they get close. They're good as a cheap range unit that can help deal with slow melee units, which can also be used to provide support for a counter push. You can counter them with spells or with other range units. The Jellyfish is basically a smaller and cheaper Electro Giant, which targets buildings and reflects damage back to whatever attacks it. The Pirate Crew is like a mixture of Three Musketeers and Rascals, replacing the Musketeer in the front with a tank unit. I don't like Three Musketeers because of how easy it is to counter for a positive elixir trade, so adding in a tank unit can help the heavy cost feel like it's worth it. In my opinion, this feels like a much better concept than Three Musketeers. Missile Launcher is basically a hit scan mortar without the blind spot. For troops and buildings that have a super long range, I added a line of sight display for where they're aiming so you know what's about to take damage. Broken Mirror is sort of like a scrapped concept from Clash Royale, which is a spell that copies the last card your opponent played. It doesn't do +1 level for +1 energy, so it's just a carbon copy. Honestly, I can see why this was a scrapped concept. This card is incredibly chaotic and honestly doesn't provide much strategy since you don't really have a choice on what the energy cost is or what the troop summoned is. Treads is probably the most interesting addition out of all of these. This troop doesn't really do anything on its own, but where it shines is when it's paired with buildings. When it's near a building, it will place it on top of itself, carrying it with it. This applies to any building in the game, so it's sort of like a build your own cannon cart. I think this was a suggestion I saw from someone a while back. I really liked the concept, so I decided to implement it. I've also added in some new champions, 2 of which are a combination of existing cards in the game. Carissa and Aqua are now 1 card, and their ability causes Carissa to jump into the air and slam down onto where Aqua is. Blight Riders is the same, and their ability is basically the Chainsaw card. 2 new champions are Stigma and Taffy. Stigma uses both melee and ranged attacks, dealing more damage up close, and their ability gives temporary attack and movement speed bonus. Taffy is a melee fighter who can summon a mount that targets buildings, becoming kind of like a melee Ram Rider. I've also made some balance changes to existing cards. I don't really keep track of all of them, but some notable ones are Abomination dealing less damage, Necromancer now spawns skeletons in front of them, and Seraphim having more health so they're not just free energy for your opponent. There's also a few bug fixes like Champion's abilities, also applying to opponents if they have the same ones. On top of adding some new relics, I've also changed how they work. They stack now basically. Previously the relics were stored in an array, and the game only checked if the array had the relic in it to apply the effect, and I've swapped it to a map so that the relics can be stored as keys, blah 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 blah, blah 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 blah. So yeah, basically they stack now. I've also adjusted some of the existing relics in the game to make them more engaging, like the Solace Beacon now healing champions instead of decreasing spawn time. Some of the new relics might actually be a little bit broken, like the Mimic, which gives you an additional relic for relics to choose from chests. And that affects stacks as well, so if you have like 3 Mimic relics, you get 4 extra of whatever you choose from a chest, and so on. If you played Solo Sync 1, it's basically the Grim Reaper of Aestheta. I added 2v2 to the game. Like 2v2 in Clash Royale, there are 4 main towers and 4 players in teams of 2. Since it's single player, you'll be paired up with an AI to take down 2 enemy AIs. Your teammate's hand will show up on the bottom right, and you can see what cards they will place down before they place them. All the players are randomized, so you don't know who your opponents are or your teammate will be until you start the battle. This is something that I've been wanting to add for a while. 2v2 is my favorite game mode in Clash Royale, and I think this might be my favorite game mode in Aestheta as well. I've also added in 2 new challenges. One is basically the 4-card game mode from Clash Royale, which I really enjoyed and wanted to recreate, as well as the second being all 2v2 battles. I've also made some other changes to improve the overall quality of the game. I don't remember all of them, but some major ones are card and relic descriptions now appearing in the Star Ticket shop, as well as relics now appearing at the bottom of the card glossary tab. The Star Ticket run limit now increases per loop, so if you want to get a bunch of Star Tickets, you can now just keep looping since you can keep the relics you find. I've also updated the disclaimer to reiterate that you can enable vertical mode if you want. I think that's pretty much everything that's in the v1.2 update. I really hope that this update helps add more content that not only helps the game stand out from Clash Royale as its own thing, but also to address issues that people have had with the game to make an overall better product. I'd just like to reiterate, I'm not perfect and nothing I make will be. I've been doing game dev for quite a while and I still make blunders every now and then. If there's any part of Aestheta or any of my games that feel kind of weird or jank, it's not because I'm a beginner, it's because I'm either lazy or I couldn't think of a better solution. The most important thing is that people find potential in what I make, because as long as the core concept is good, it can always become better. I think at this point I'm kinda done with Aestheta. I don't have any more major plans or additions I want to add. I had some concepts I came up with a while back, like adding in pseudo-evolutions where you can have effects applied to certain cards. Kind of like how in Balatro you can add effects to increase chips or mults. Like having a shop where you can enhance cards with gemstones, or by giving cards like tools. I also toyed with the idea of adding in extra dialogue between the card characters, like on the little dungeon map screen where you can have Storm Witch or Rogue having a conversation about stuff while they're in their card forms. I also thought about adding in more game modes from Clash Royale like Touchdown, but honestly I'm not too keen on that. I also kind of want to have some fan art I've seen in the game and implementing them as banners, with credit of course, as a way to showcase some cool fan art I've gotten. I'm doing Art Fight this year and I've gotten some attacks featuring Aestheta characters, so I might use some of those. Aside from that, I don't really have much else I want to say about this game. Not gonna lie, I think I might be done with Clash Royale as a whole. On top of Evo Skeleton Barrel being incredibly annoying, which is an F tier in game design by the way, I'm also kinda fed up with the game in general. They recently nerfed log damage by enough to cause it to not kill a Dark Goblin that's a level above it. I actually lost a game recently just because of that. It's so annoying. I'm tired of the 8% damage nerfs and 4% health buffs all the time, especially when they want to promote whatever the latest evolution is. I think Aestheta can now scratch that itch to play it, so I don't really have a need to play the game anymore. I hope that maybe it can be that way for others as well. Again, thank you to everyone who supported this game. If you like the concept and you want to see it flourish, feel free to leave a review or gift it to your friends. If not, I understand. I did my best. I don't have an official Discord server or anything, and I don't plan on making one, but I'm totally cool with people DMing me if they have bug reports or if there's something that needs my attention. Also, thank you for, 2.7 thousand subscribers? Damn, that's a lot of people. I hope you guys don't mind me posting things that aren't related to the reason that you subscribed. I've started posting some of my art to the community posts tab, as well as some other animations like the Solo Sync Beach episode. I might do some devlogs on my other games, or making videos on other games, like reviews and whatnot. So yeah, thank you for watching, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodles!